Okay, let's go ahead and go over this FRQ. So in this one, I had you practice just a little bit of drawing for stem plots, because sometimes it does help if you're confused with a stem plot to actually try to draw one. So for this data, I can see my data here. With my stem, I want to look at, okay, I have 2-digit numbers. So I know I'm going to put one of the digits here, and then the remaining digits go into the leaves, so to speak. So in this case, my data goes all the way up into the 40s. So I know I'm going to start with 0, so any single digit numbers, if there are any, which there are a few, and then go all the way up to 4 in the stem. And then the leaves, I just need to record any numbers that start with like the stem digit and then what they end in. So for the single digit numbers, I have an 8 and a 9. So those go on the 0 row. For anything that starts with a 1, I'm going to record all those digits. So I have a value of 10, so that's why the 0 is there. I have a value of 12, so that's why the 2 is there, so on and so forth. I have nothing in the 20s, so that row is empty, and that's fine. Now, this 1's row is a bit long, so if I wanted to, I could split the stem plot. So I could take and double these values for each of them, even the 2's, even though there's nothing there, I do have to double it all. And then I can report my values again. So remember, the first 0, so to speak here, the first row wouldn't get anything because I don't have any digits that are between 0 and 4 in terms of like single digit numbers. But I do have an 8 and a 9. So anything from 5 to 9 goes on the second row. So you can see again, the 1's, I have any digits that I had from 0 to 4. So I put those on the first 1's row. And then any digits that were 5 to 9. So like for the values of 16, 17, 18, and 19, those digits go on the second row because the last digit of the number is between 5 and 9. So splitting it does allow me to see the shape a little better. So for part B, when we're describing that, I would look at my distribution. You can kind of see it with A, but since with the regular stem plot, you can kind of see it, but that 1's row is just kind of long, so it distorts the shape a bit. But it's roughly symmetric. So making sure you're using those LY words like roughly symmetric, approximately symmetric, things like that. So we would say the distribution of questions answered correctly about basic economic concepts. That is my context. So if I establish it there, I'm good to go. And then I just got to name my shape. So this is symmetric. Outliers, there is a gap in the 2's, but generally we don't have anything that's like super disconnected. Like we would need values in like the 70s, 60s, 70s, like way out there, just kind of weird random points for outliers. So we're going to say no obvious outliers in these. For the center, so I want to roughly find the middle. So there were 20 things that they collected. So that would be about the 10th value. So if I count from the starting value at 8 and just kind of count up to that 10th value, that's going to be roughly where my center is. So I would say the center of the distribution is approximately 17 to 18 questions. The range of the distribution is just the max minus the min. So if I start at 8 and I go up to 44, that's a difference of 36 numbers. So the spread or the variability is 36. For part C, it's asking what would be misleading to report for a measure of center. So we could count out to, like, for our center, we counted to the middle, which is about the median. So that would work. The other options for center, a lot of people like to say the average. Things are going off. A lot of people like to say the average sometimes. And so you could, for part C, this is kind of a bonus question. You could, for part C, report the average. So if you looked at and added up all these values and divided by how many, you would get 22, which that would fall in my gap. So if I reported that as my middle, it wouldn't make a lot of sense because there's nothing there in my dot plot. So we're a little better off using SOCs, using the median here in our SOCs for center. So part C is a little bit of a bonus, so don't freak out about that one. Just make sure you're good on interpreting the sum plot, doing the things here.